Houston Sports Talk back into the video day, and today we're going to be talking about the Indianapolis Colts potentially signing Daniel Jones. Today there were multiple quarterbacks listed as potentially candidates for the Colts quarterback competition. We've heard earlier this week that the Colts definitely plan on adding in a quarterback in free agency or through the trade market this offseason, most likely free agency, to pair next to Anthony Richardson and making it a quarterback competition. And 4 quarterbacks have been named. Daniel Jones, Jacoby Brissett, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields are the potential quarterbacks to come in and compete with Anthony Richardson. We're going to be talking about Daniel Jones. Now, look, I think I would potentially wipe out Justin Fields as a candidate in this whole thing. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Justin Fields, as of right now, what it looks like is I think Justin Fields is going back to Pittsburgh. We heard today that Pittsburgh would rather re-sign Justin Fields than Russell Wilson. I think Fields, I don't know where Russ is going. It might be Vegas. I don't know. I don't know where Russell Wilson is going. But I think Justin Fields is going back to Pittsburgh. Trey Lance, you might as well just re-sign Joe Flacco and have him be the backup for Anthony Richardson. Don't do Trey Lance. I think these are your 4 guys you're looking at. You got to look at potentially Daniel Jones or Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett would be an amazing option. We'll see what happens with him. I like that option. And it'd be interesting to see him go back to Indianapolis as well. I didn't even think about that until just now. But I think it would be a great option because he's played with a lot of younger quarterbacks in this league. He's became an amazing mentor and a great veteran quarterback. I think that's great. And that he'd be great for Anthony Richardson to potentially, be there and be a leader and maybe Richardson can learn from him. He's been in this league. It's crazy to say, for me at least, because I started watching football the season he was a rookie, but he's been in this league for a long time. He's entering his 8th or 9th season at this point. He's been in the league for a long time. He's been in a lot of situations where he's a starter and gets pulled for rookie. It happened this year with New England. It's happened many times in his career. He's had to step up in many times before. I mean, let's look. Cleveland trades for Deshaun Watson. He gets suspended for like 8 games. The Browns signed Jacoby Brissett. He becomes a starter. He has stepped up many times in his career, and I think he would be a good option. But I also think about Daniel Jones as well, and I think he'd be a solid option. I think both are solid options. Daniel Jones obviously had a bad year, 216 for 341, 2,070 passing yards, 8 passing touchdowns, and 7 picks in 10 games. He had an amazing 2022 season. Team went 9-6-1 in his 16 games as he threw 317 for 472, throwing 3,205 passing yards, 15 passing touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. I think if you're Daniel Jones, you wouldn't mind going to this Indianapolis team because I think, honestly, if Daniel Jones has success with the 2022 New York Giants, Daniel Jones could have some success with this Colts team because, again, he would be with another really amazing running back like he had with Saquon Barkley and Jonathan Taylor. And I think another important thing is that this Colts team, their wide receiver group is more talented than I think than any of the wide receiver groups that Daniel Jones has had in his last couple seasons as the Giants starter. You have Michael Pittman Jr. for starters, but then you have a lot of nice young wide receivers. Josh Downs is a stud. Adonai Mitchell, I think, has a solid future. You got guys like Alec Pierce, Ashton Dulin. They got a lot of wide receivers who are great, running routes and running deep ball routes. And I really think that Daniel Jones could have success with this Colts offense. I'm not saying he's going to be amazing or he's going to lead them to the playoffs or anything, but I think Daniel Jones can go into this Colts team right now and look a lot better than he's looked in these last 2 seasons with the Giants, where he's been really bad these last 2 seasons in New York. And so I think it'd be interesting. And you got Shane Steichen, who's a really good coach to work with. And also, here's another thing. Spend some time with Minnesota. I think you can learn a lot spending time with Kevin O'Connell and how good of a development coach he is. I think he's one of the best development coaches you're going to find in the National Football League. And so Daniel Jones spending some time there in Minnesota, I don't think you can walk away from Minnesota not learning something and not being improved on a couple things. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is good at all. I just think there would be some improvements with that Colts team to the point where Daniel Jones could lead the Colts to 7-8 wins, which is you know, I mean, it's basically around the same thing that Anthony Richardson, had this year. But, if we're going to include Joe Flacco, I mean, I don't know. I think that it would be interesting to see, and it'd be an interesting competition to see Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson. I think Jacoby Brissett would be a better fit, though, just because I think he's a better leader and a better, and it'd be better for Richardson to learn under him. And Daniel Jones has never been in a situation like this. Like, let's say Jones wins that starting job and he doesn't perform well, and they take the job away from him, give Richardson the keys again. He's never been in that situation. Jacoby Brissett has been in this situation. You don't know how Jones would react in this situation. He might react good, but you know how Brissett has done with this situation because he's lived through this. So that's why I feel like Brissett would be a better option. Let me know your thoughts on the potential signing for this Colts team in the comment section, and peace out.